Welcome to the Coding Success Series on how to become a software engineer, where I can take you from 0 to 60 in becoming a software engineer and ready to take on any project and land that six-figure job. Join my channel for more tips, tricks, ideas, and tutorials on how to best leverage your time to become a developer. Today, we begin that journey, so let's go! By the way, if you like what you see and hear, like and subscribe so you don't miss anything on building your career as a software engineer. From the time you write your first Hello World program, it can take you years before landing a job, let alone going for a college degree that takes at least 2 to 4 years. What if I told you, yes, you, that you can actually get a job much sooner than that? And what if that job can be at a top-tier company like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, or Google, known as the prestigious FAANG companies? Well, you can, and it all begins here. And you know what? It's all possible without a degree. How do we get there so fast? Well, the key is avoiding critical mistakes that can cost you a lot of time and money. You see, there is a lot of information out there, a lot of courses, and it's all accessible at your fingertips. That is precisely the problem. There is a lot of information and a lot of options that can simply be overwhelming. Now, imagine 6 months from now, being in a place where you are confident and writing amazing applications. Better yet, imagine being in a place where you are commanding 6 figures. How? Well, as with any coding project, you have to start out with a plan. Lucky for you, I have just the plan in this video. Here is a 7-step plan that, if you follow diligently, could land you a job in 6 months. 6 months! Now, what do you think? Will this be easy to accomplish or not? Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. But I'm positive that with discipline and focus, you can do this. So here's the plan that will eliminate all the useless fluff. To rapidly move from 0 to 100 on your journey to becoming a software engineer. So pay close attention because, besides the plan, I will also reveal 3 key mistakes you must avoid to make this happen. There will be a quiz at the end. Psych, just kidding. But really, these 3 mistakes are crucial. So, when I reveal them, be sure to write them down and memorize them, and make them principles in your life so you don't make these mistakes. So, are you ready? Let's get on with the plan. Okay, hold on to your seats and save this video or get a pad and pencil. It all begins right here with your very first step. The first thing you must decide as a new programmer is which programming language you should learn. Here are some tips to help you decide. First, the language should be easy to write and make sense to you. It shouldn't be hard to understand. It should look as much like English as possible. Next, the language should be flexible and practical in many situations. If you're just starting out, you don't want to have to learn a new language for every project you want to build. In other words, the time you spend learning the language should pay off significantly. Last, the language should be easy to write quickly. In other words, it should do the job with as few lines of code as possible. One last note, the language should be marketable. If no one hires for that language, it'll be hard to find a job just knowing that language. Say, for example, COBOL. If you look on any job hiring site, I don't think you will find any entry-level COBOL programming jobs. With that, as of this recording in 2023, I recommend that you start with Python. Python is the language that fulfills all the criteria that I just mentioned. It's an excellent language to start off with. Python is as close to writing in English as you're gonna get. It's easy to write. It's practical as it's used for a wide range of applications, including web development, data science, and automation, among other things. When compared to other popular languages, it's the most popular language in the industry. Python takes a few lines of code to do the same amount of work as any other language. For example, I started out coding C and C++, and I can show you that C and C++ take much more time to learn and much more lines of code to accomplish the same thing in Python. I showed a student of mine once how Python would look and how C++ would look to process files. There were literally 100 lines of code difference. Also, Python is so fast to write. It's my interview language of choice and has helped me to do at least twice as well. Still, other popular languages have their own benefits, and at some point in your career, you will need to learn another language. However, in 2023, Python is the best language to start with. Now that we know which language to start with, let's talk about how to do it. Now here is mistake number 1. You have to make sure you avoid this mistake. Most new programmers make their first big mistake here, which slows them down. This mistake is learning to code by just watching others do it. You see, to learn to code, you have to code. You see, you might be tempted to go to YouTube and watch someone else code, but never learn how to do it yourself. And seeing these tutorials makes you think you're getting better, but you're not. It's more of a dopamine hit in thinking that you're doing something. That's because coding in your head is not the same as going through the process of writing the code, running, and fixing mistakes. This will be how you are going to learn. So, what's the right way to do it? The answer is simple. You should learn by coding. You have to code, and code a lot. I recommend as your next step to go to either learnpython.org or w3schools.com website on learning Python. The link is below this video. The key to these courses is that they are free, concise, and easy to learn from. You can get started today. Start with the basics and stay focused on the basics. Don't worry about the advanced stuff yet. If you jump to the more advanced ideas right now, you will get overwhelmed and have information overload and not remember what you're learning. Or worse, you will quit. Save the advanced stuff for later when you start working on building projects, which we will talk about next. After you know the basics, you can move on to the next step, which is working on Python projects. Starting out with a Python project, it's hard to do by yourself. So, to get practice, I recommend 12 Beginner Python Projects by freecodecamp.org. You can find this on YouTube. I know, you're thinking, hey, you said not to go to YouTube. However, there is a big difference. You will be coding along with building these projects. Also, this is a great channel to subscribe to, as well as mine, to learn to code. The projects on this site are interesting, so it will keep you engaged and get you learning how to build applications. They show you how to do all of these projects step by step, making it easy to understand. Oops, I forgot one thing. No, 2 things, actually. 2 things you should know before getting into those projects. The first is to avoid mistake number 1. I'm just pounding it in, but don't just watch this tutorial for fun. If you really want to learn how to code and become a software engineer, you have to code along. Do not just sit there and watch the videos. Build it and make it your own. However, in order to code along, you need one thing to start these projects. And that is what is called an Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. In the simplest terms, an IDE is a program where you can write and run code. The number 1 and most well-known IDEs that work with Python that I would recommend for you to start with is VS Code. It is the IDE that is used most in the industry and supports multiple languages and tools that will help you with your development work. Most of all, it's used in most tutorials that you'll find out there. So, you have to get VS Code first and set it up for Python. You basically go to the website for VS Code and download it, link below. That website has all the instructions you need to set up for Python. If you need help, you can click the link below to my website for my free ebook on setting up VS Code. I will also post a future video on setting up VS Code, so make sure you like and subscribe. So, you have learned the basics, you have VS Code set up, and you built all 12 projects. You should be feeling pretty good at this point, and have probably been at this for a month or 2. You now have several Python projects under your belt, and now you will be ready to start working on your own projects. The next step, putting time and effort into doing your own projects. This will help you in many ways. First, it will show you how software engineers really do their jobs in the real world. You will write code that doesn't work, fix it, and do it again and again. This is exactly how a software engineer spends a typical day. Second, this will help you build a portfolio of projects that you can share with prospective employers, recruiters, and business partners. Lastly, building your own projects will give you the confidence to take on new challenges as a software engineer, like picking up the more advanced stuff as you need it, as I was saying earlier. But what kinds of projects should you work on? Well, work on any project that interests you and start planning and building it out. But before we do that, we need a place or platform to show off the projects you're building. The platform that I highly recommend is GitHub. It helps you in 2 ways. 1 is providing a place where you can show off your projects. 2, it's the platform used and required by companies worldwide. So, before moving forward with your own projects, take the time to set up a GitHub account and put your 12 projects over there. Instructions are on github.com itself, and there are tons of videos on how to get started. Also, you can click the link below to have access to my ebook on setting up GitHub. Again, there will be future videos on how to do that also. GitHub is currently the #1 source control management tool used throughout the industry. We will talk a little more about source control management in future videos, but for now, just know it's a necessity at the time of recording this video to know Git, and it will give you a place to show off your own projects. This will all help you get the attention of recruiters and get your resume on the shortlist. Now you have your portfolio, you built those 12 projects, and everything is on GitHub. You've taken the time to write up your resume, and you are sure of your skills. So, what's the next step? Let's start looking for jobs as software engineers. Hold on a second. Here is the second big mistake that new programmers tend to make. In an ideal world, all you should need to become a software engineer is good programming skills and a good resume, and a couple of projects to show off. That's just not reality. You see, all tech companies will give you tests during interviews. During the interview, they will ask you questions about problems you will have to solve on the spot within a limited amount of time. You may either have to code live or write on paper, or write on a whiteboard. If you don't prepare for these types of questions, you will not get the results you were hoping for. So, let's take a look at how to get ready for interviews. Google made this course and put it on Udacity so that anyone can take it for free. The best thing about this course is that it is taught in Python. You'll learn what companies will test you on as a programmer. You will learn skills that the questions are centered around, the concepts of data structures and algorithms. This course by Google will be about all the different algorithms and data structures you need to know, and can learn in about 4 weeks. You'll learn about maps, trees, graphs, and sorting algorithms. Don't worry if none of these words are familiar to you right now. By the end of this course, I'm sure you'll be a pro. Plus, these skills will help you to be an even better software engineer. As a matter of fact, they are a must. Just remember these 2 things. 1. Keep up with this class, and 2. Finish it. Remember what I said in the beginning? Most people start classes, but don't finish them. So, make sure you move forward every day by taking small steps. Also, make sure you do all the assignments for this course. As I said before, the only way to learn how to code is to do it. After learning these concepts, you may find that they can be applied to your project that you're working on or have built. I encourage you to implement these concepts as needed in your project. This Google course is the only difference between you and someone who spent over $100,000 on a computer science degree, and it's free. Complete this, and up to this point, you'll be as qualified for an interview as someone with a CS degree. After you finish this course on data structures and algorithms, you will know everything you need to know to do well in interviews. But you will also need to practice. Practicing your algorithms and problem-solving skills. Now, fortunately for us, there are sites that allow us to do just that. One famous site is LeetCode.com. On LeetCode, you can write your code right on the website and test it right there. LeetCode is great for people who are just starting out. Each question is marked as easy, medium, or hard based on how hard it is. If you pay for a premium subscription to the website, you can also sort the questions by the tech company that asked those questions in past interviews. So, go to LeetCode, set your language to Python, and start with questions that are easy. Keep working on them until you can answer them in 45 minutes. Remember, during the interview, you will have a limited amount of time to solve the interview question. After that, you can move on to medium-level questions. I would say that you can start applying for jobs in software engineering when you can solve mediums in 45 minutes. Here is the third and the biggest mistake of all mistakes. At some point, people just give up and let things slide. And sometimes an interview could trigger that even more so. So then they quit. Don't quit your courses. Don't quit coding. Don't quit practicing, and keep on plugging away. Learn from your mistakes and where you might have failed during an interview. Most people give up too soon because they think too much and make the interview process too hard. They replay the interview over and over in their heads to figure out why they didn't get the job. They take each rejection personally. To avoid this, stay within what you can control and try to be the cause instead of the effect of how your interviews go. Don't get caught up in things you can't change. In other words, try your best to get through the interviews, but don't care about how they go. So, there you have it, the plan to become a software engineer. 1. Find out what language you want to work with. I recommend Python. 2. Learn the basics of that language and coding. 3. Get an IDE and set it up. 4. Build projects. 5. Learn data structures and algorithms. 6. Practice on LeetCode. 7. Get your resume together and GitHub presence. Before you go, remember the 3 mistakes to avoid. 1. Don't learn by watching. Code. 2. Learn data structures and algorithms. 3. Don't give up. Follow this step by step, and you will become a software engineer in no time at all. If you've gotten this far, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my website to subscribe to my newsletter. I will see you next time.